For sure. I just want to quickly go back, I guess, a half topic, still related to this, though, in the sense that, like, we all know changes are coming, and because Sean mentioned that there's a likelihood of more than one buyout, and the fact that Benning also just openly spoke about buyouts, I want to ask a question of, we all know Eriksson's going to be one. Who's the other one, if there is going to be multiple? That's the question I have.
Jake Virtanen.
Yeah.
Not unless there's whatever happens allows them to get out from under his contract without the buyout, a termination of some sort. I think he was a buyout option before that even came about. He's young enough that they get a significant amount of cap space back for that, despite the amount of money that he's owed. Because he's young enough. He is young enough. His buyout cap hit for this, if they do it for next season, is only $50,000. So they save what is his cap hit right now? 2.5.
Yeah, I think it's 2.5.
Yeah, 2.55. So they save over just over $2 million in actually no, just they save $2.5 million in cap space by buying Jake Virtanen out, and it makes too much sense that he's not someone you want to bring back with everything that's gone on, and he was someone who was not living up to that contract, and you can bring in someone who can fill that bottom six role a little bit better than Jake Virtanen does. I think it makes so much sense. I don't know if it's Eriksson this year, actually, because it's the difference between burying him in the minors versus the buyout is less than $1 million. It's only $850,000, I believe, for cap hit for this year, and then you don't have to worry about his the next season. But I do think that they will look at that for sure.
You can cross your fingers as a Canuck fan and hope that Eriksson just retires and walks away from the end of his contract. But we'll see about that. The name I was going to bring up in regards to buyouts is Jay Beagle. He is on LTIR right now, so that I assume you can't buy out when the guy's on LTIR. But $3 million cap hit, 2 years remaining on his deal, if I'm not mistaken. So
buyout.
That to me is the other one. Actually, one more year after this season. Sorry, but that's another one to me. I think that's a good buyout candidate.
The cap hit for Jay Beagle's buyout is 2.2. So you actually with that you actually gain more cap room by just burying him in the minors.
Yeah, and I think if you just look at the roster and trying to get younger, and you've got Tyler Mott, like where does he fit, right? Like.
I still don't mind Beagle as a fourth line center. Yes, he's overpaid for it, but I still like him in that role. It's just you need to find a way to actually get a third line center that can help build a line around, and it's not offensive black hole. Yeah. Basically what they wanted Sutter to be is what they need to find. Because they've got Mott and they've got Podkolzin coming in. I think if you have those two as your third line wingers going into next season with a good third line center, I think you can create a line that can take some pressure off the top two lines because they'll be able to produce offense as well as be responsible defensively. The other thing, but one thing I do want to mention in that aspect is, I don't think there is a true shutdown third line center out there that's available that makes sense for the Canucks. I think that they're going to have to find someone who has majority of what they're looking for and hope that they can take that next step.
The other thing too about the Canucks is, does JT Miller stay at center, and do they next year find ways to lengthen the depth of the winger group such that they can have Horvat and Pettersson and Miller on separate lines? That'll be interesting to see as well. I would think that they're probably pretty happy with the play of JT Miller as a center, and he's made it pretty clear in public he'd like to keep doing that.
Well, let me throw a scenario out here. If there is going to be an overpay, I'm just going to throw this out there. Could you bring in a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and maybe move? Okay,
Who would you be moving?
Sorry for cutting you off right there, Kev. But it's just where's the cap space coming from? Even with these buyouts.
Well, I mean, if you are going to overpay,
yeah, who's going out the other way is the question.
Yeah. I mean, I do think I will be bold and say that there is going to be a higher name player on this team is going to move. I just don't see how you don't do that. Like, you have to. But I just thought that was an option. That's okay. What happened with Slava Voyanov? What did the Kings do in that situation?
Oh, I think they suspended him, and then I think they were able to terminate his contract, I believe is what happened. So they didn't have to take the cap hit or anything, but they were able to terminate it with no cap hit and with no cap implications. It's a completely different situation. I don't know whether or not that'll happen with all this. But no matter what, I really don't think we're seeing Jake Virtanen in a Canucks uniform ever again.
No, I agree. As far as buyout options, I'll just quickly my wonder is, depending on where he's. I mean, a couple of other names I would throw in. Antoine Roussel, maybe. And I wonder what's going to happen with Michael Furland. I wonder
Furland, I think, is going to stay if he come. I think Furland's a LTIR Robot Islands for the rest of his career. Unfortunately, I just looked at Roussel. He's a $3 million cap hit. It's 1.7 cap hit on the books if the Canucks buy him out. So that's a little bit more than what you would get for burying him in the minors. I think you have to look at that, but he's also someone that is a very much a thermometer of where the team is at, and when he's going, the team's going type deal. So I could see them doing it, but I also think that his value in the locker room and when he's playing well is close enough to that $3 million.
A comment on Roussel. I mean, I think he's a candidate to be taken in the Seattle expansion draft as well.
I could see them potentially looking at him. That'd be great. that would solve some issues there. I do think that it's something they would look at for sure.
Yeah,
especially with they've got Zach McEwen, who I like as a fourth liner. Highmore and Lockwood are looking like players that could be there, let alone Cole Lind. They've got some younger options that I think need to get serious looks, but I still think they need to. I think the big one is the big thing for the Canucks is they need to figure out that 3C, that third line center role. Whether it is JT Miller, whether it is bringing in someone else, but yeah, if they can figure that out and then figure out what that blue line, figure out why that blue line isn't as good as I think it could be. I think that fixes a couple of the major issues that were really plaguing them this year.
Okay. Well, let's leave it there. I will be back tonight to recap the Jets and the Oilers. I will be doing that. But how do we follow everyone else?
I am Beardy Canucks 03 on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter at tnoble, TNOBLE.
And I'm at Schneids on most social media.
Devin, who's in the comments, says as Gordhouse09. And he has that comment here. I'll just leave that there. I'm KVOLE podcast _hockey, Facebook.com, the hockey podcast, YouTube.com, the hockey podcast. As I said, I will be back tonight recapping Canucks and Jets, or Jets.
Whoa.
Oilers and Jets.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you have any comments on it, please feel free to comment, tell your friends about the videos, and we will talk. Thanks, everyone. We will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.